invite Mr. Derek Chim to present the open innovation situation in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Professors, honorable guests. Let me just take a little bit of time to introduce about Hong Kong and what science and technology. I mean, it doesn't work. Right. Hello, is that better? Yeah. Okay. So what I want to do is just give a brief introduction of what's happening in Hong Kong. HKSTPC, which is a science park. We have been doing innovation startup program for years, and we make some sort of achievement. But as you know, our chief executive John Lee set a really ambitious target for Hong Kong because startup is actually a very fundamental elements for Hong Kong to restructure ourselves. In the past, we do the finance, we do the trading, property developments, and now high tech it become something that we cannot miss. So Science Park is actually taking the responsibility to actually contribute to the restructuring of Hong Kong economies. All right. So before that, actually, I give just some introduction of myself. I'm Derek. I'm in charge of all the incubation, acceleration, and ideation program in Science Park. I just joined this year. Before that, I was a founder of 6 startups in 12 years. And then before that, I worked for Microsoft, Quanta Computer, and Foxconn. And before that, I was in McKinsey & Company. So basically, I'm quite new to Science Park. And I think it also showed the ambitions of Hong Kong to take the stuff seriously. And the reason why here is actually when we talk about doing the innovations, I think it's very important to work with neighborhoods like Macao, and also to have the international, like from Portugal and to Brazil. I think we can't do it alone. Hong Kong used to be an open economy, and collaboration is the only way to success. So speaking of Hong Kong, I just mentioned earlier, the government, we actually set a very aggressive agenda. Like we have the I&T blueprint on the left that was set 2 to 3 years ago. It basically defined what we are going to do in the next 10 years. And then our chief executive, John Lee, just announced the paper for the new budget years, which give out a lot of support, how to actually nurture the startups and the research institutes, the professors. There are lots of programs and support activities going on. The reason why I say it's very ambitious is actually we already defined the vision for 2030. So basically, we want to develop Hong Kong into an international R&D hub. We want the startups, we want entrepreneurship become a prestige job for the youngsters or those retired people. In Science Park, we have a bunch of startups. The founders are actually older than me. I'm 51, by the way. So, and in 2030, we have the vision to have 6,000 tech startups and 100 billion fund raised and 250 billion business valuations. And these are actually not just a slogan. We already hired a professional accounting firm to actually quantify the contributions. And just for your information, like for Science Park alone, we did the calculations for last year. We contribute to 1.3% of the GDP economy of Hong Kong. And we are actually setting the target by 2030. We are going to contribute 10% direct and indirect contributions. Now, HKSTPC, Science Park, the vision and mission things are basically we want to make it vibrant. If you happen to come to Hong Kong and if you happen to come to a Science Park, you will see we have many people inside the park and people commute. So making it vibrant is very fundamental. We don't want to actually give out money and people just take the money and they work from home. We want them to be there. Well, we want them to set up R&D. We want them to actually do the manufacturing as well, the research. So in short, right now, our main campus, we have 400,000 square meters size. And the occupancy right now is already 91%. Now we have 20,000 people working in the main campus. 13,000 of them, they are R&D. Now we have 1,400 startups, tech companies there. They are from 24 countries in total. Other than the main campus, as some of you might know, that we hope to actually bring back the manufacturing in Hong Kong. So we are investing in the fab, semiconductors, and the SMT right now. In Taipo, there are some InnoPark there. We are hoping to bring the semicon guys, the ODM guys to Hong Kong, but not manufacturing, but design. Do the new product introduction. Of course, they can do the productions in China or scale up elsewhere. Up to today, we have incubated over 1,000 incubatees. Those are not a small team. Those are really, they're making revenues, right? Up to today. And we have 12 unicorns in Science Park. Like 6 of them, we grew it from the very beginning. And 6 of them, we attract them to Science Park. And within our networks, we have 300 plus corporate partners internationally. And the reason why we want to make them into our ecosystem, of course, is we help the startups to grow, but most importantly, we help them to close deals. So we will actually have the KPI set in my team, how much money they need to help the startups to close. And that is something that we push my account manager to make it happen. And we have 1,000 investors in our networks. So to startups, they need money, they need to business deal in order to make sure their products can scale. And finally, we also have a fund, it's a co-investment fund. So in the past few years, like starting from 2018, we measure the impact is for every $1 that we co-invest, we can trigger $18 from the institutional investors. So that's the snapshot of Science Park today. Now, here is what I mentioned. The 400,000 and 20,000 working population in this small 8, if you happen to come to Hong Kong, is at our headquarters. And then we have the Inno Center in Kowloon Tong and Tseung Kwan O. Those are actually fintech, e-commerce stuff. And Tseung Kwan O, Yuen Long, and Taipo, they are more the new industrialization things. So I mentioned earlier, we have the SMT, we have the opto equipment. We try to bring back manufacturing, electronic design. So these are the 3 areas we do. Now, this chart is for me. So basically, I'm in charge of all these programs. And for this program, as you can see, it's actually covering from on the left. So if any professors or any youngster or any people, they have an ideas, as long as they form a team of 2, we have an ideation program for them. So what we do is actually we provide trainings. We provide 100,000 Hong Kong dollars as a funding for them. This money is not just give out. We need them to form the team. We let them to complete a business plan. We need them to do a market validations. So if you have an idea, you need to actually prove that someone wants your solutions. So either they go to the street and do some interviews or like some basic market validation. So that's the ideations. And each year, like this year, we have close to 1,000 teams been doing it. For incubations, so once you have the team formed, right? Once you have the ideas, in incubation, we take 3 years. We hope the startups to have their MVP, the minimum viable products there. We hope them to have found the first customers. We hope them to do the product market fit. And we want them to close the seed round. So these are the things we want them to finish in the 3 years program. And in this 3 years program, we'll be providing 1.3 million Hong Kong dollars as a funding support to them with those shares. But the way we do it is not just give them money. We have the account managers to work with them to define the roadmap milestones for the 3 years. And then every 6 months, we sit down together, to sort of review the milestones, not challenge them, but understand what are the pain points, anything you want us to help you out, any mentors you want to bring you in, and any business you want to introduce to you, right? So those milestones are very important gateway or the checkpoint for us to bring in the required resources to make this product market fit happen in the 3 years programs. So after they graduate in these three years incubation programs, we go to next is acceleration programs. And this one is basically, we are talking about startups at Series A, right? So they have a product, they have customers. Then the next is how do they grow their product families? How do they scale to other countries? How do they actually start to develop their own ecosystem? And how do they actually structure their stocks options? Usually, people fail in that stage because they don't take care of the ISOP, ESOP things. So the acceleration stage, we have 2 years. And then we give out 4.8 million Hong Kong dollars as a subsidy for them. And again, we have the milestone assessments. So after the acceleration, then you go to the global expansion. It's an elite program. We are talking about 21 million Hong Kong dollars funding support, but we are expecting them to go to at least Series B and go to pre-IPO stage. So these are the series of programs that I run. And altogether, like each year, I have about 600 startups. Every year, we're talking about 400 or 500 graduates. And those in the middle are the services provided by my account management teams. Like what I mentioned earlier, we are not giving out the money. What we want to make sure is actually we provide the bridges to the funding and capital. Of course, we have the facilities, and we want to have the business support for them. We want to actually help them to do some sort of business matching, investor matchings, etc. And those at the bottom is actually in Science Park. As you see, we have 400,000 square meters, and we have all these facilities. Basically, we spend the money to buy the expensive stuff, physical labs, and we let the startups to use it. So they don't need to invest on those things. Like if you're doing AI, you want to have some federal learning model, you want to have the machine learning platform. If you do the hardware, you want to do the mock-up, the SMD testing. So basically, we have all these physical labs. And we also have the virtual labs. So we cooperate with a lot of big AI guys, maybe Microsoft, AWS, Google, right? And if you want to do some simulations, you can use our facilities. Now, those programs I mentioned earlier is basically how I actually handhold those staffs and help them to go through the different stages. And I also mentioned earlier that Hong Kong has the ambition to actually do the industrialization things. So we also have some sort of hardware stuff. And just forget about those on the left. Those are historical things. We have a lot of old industrial zones. And lately, we consolidated them together. In 2021, we have 6 centers on the bottom right corners. We have the GMP centers. We have those microelectronic centers. And those centers are special built because if you want to do those, you need to have the lab, right? You need to have the safety, those kind of, the story must be higher. Now you can't do it in this. So those are special building, and we are actually attracting those startups in these categories to move into these buildings. And also, we are super focused on the biotech. And what we do here is, as you know, in Hong Kong, we have a lot of researchers, professors. They're very good at those biotech. We also work with those big guys. We want to do some sort of industry translations. For this and the other one, and these programs, the Hong Kong government just announced lately the Waste Plus, which is about 10 billion Hong Kong dollars to subsidize those researchers. If they want to incubate their IP or deep tech stuff, they can actually work on together on these programs. And then we have this Inno Square. Sorry, those terms are always confusing. The Inno Square is actually, we have Inno Square 1 and Inno Square 2. And now this year, John Lee announced we have an Inno Square 3. And what does it mean is Inno Hong Kong is a building in Science Park. The whole building actually dedicated to professors. Those professors, if they don't want to, they can actually take their work to our Inno Hong Kong. And then we will provide them the resources, money support for them to continue to do the research until they spin off. Right? So we have 28 centers. 14 of them, they are related to health. 14 of them related to AI and robotics. And we are building the third Hong Kong. We are doing the advanced materials, sustainability developments. So these 3 buildings are on top of my incubation program I just introduced earlier. And those are the things that we're working on. So I just give you a little bit introduction of the Hong Kong park, and we also have a park in Shenzhen, it's in Futian areas. And that is actually also owned by Science Park, and I also run that Science Park, that buildings. And for the purpose of that building is, we want those startups who were in Hong Kong that I'm working together, they can extend to Shenzhen as well. And we also want those startups in China, if they want to go abroad, take us as a springboard, right? They can establish the operations in Shenzhen Science Park. Then I actually extend or mirror the office in Hong Kong so that they can go abroad. And the other way around, right? If you want to go to China, you can actually have a presence in Hong Kong, and then we help to take you to Shenzhen our Shenzhen Science Park. And for that, you can actually get into the GBA in China. So that's the both way. And we also see, there are actually quite different requirements for both sides. And last but not least, so about Science Park right now, I also mentioned about our occupancy is about 90%. So we are running out of space. And I have 1,400 staffs right now. And I also mentioned earlier, my KPI is 6,000, right? So we need more land, right? So we need more partnership together. We need to have a lot of partnership together, like in Macau, right? How do we actually do the satellite collaborations together? In the meantime, we are also constructing, extending new spaces like this area. It's about 70 times of the space we have already today. We want to develop into a high-tech town. And it's actually past the regulations, and we are working on it right now. And this is what I have. I want to actually not just talk by myself, and if possible, do you have any questions you want to ask? I want to make it more interactive.
There is actually a discussion panel at the end where we all sit down and open discussion. Okay?
I missed the ferry.
No, when is your ferry? No, no, of course not. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Derek. Very, very insightful with our neighbor and their programs.